Wednesday, May 14th, here on the Just Baseball Show. That's Arm Lane. I am Peter Apple. And today, the best and worst through the first quarter of the MLB season. Plus, Aram's going to give us some of his major takeaways, both from the major leagues and the minor leagues. And then he is going to end this episode with his last word. And it's all brought to us by the sportsbook Born in Vegas. Remember, folks, use promo code JustBaseball on BetMGM for that first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. And today on Wednesday, BetMGM has your back with an MLB Parlay Boost token. Activate your token for any MLB parlay, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your parlay wins. But remember, gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. Aram, before we get into anything, before we press the record button, I asked you, can you make one of your Larry David quirks from Curb Your Enthusiasm as your last word? Because for my last word, I've been doing a lot of history. Jack is still trying to find his niche. But to unveil the curtain, we have a Just Baseball group chat, and Arm will randomly pop in, pissed at something completely random, and they are too funny. So we have to save them for your last words. That's the most exciting part of the podcast for me, but I'm also pretty excited to talk about the best and the worst of the first quarter of the MLB season. It's crazy that we're already here.
That's the shocking part. It really is crazy that we're already a quarter. When we sent that in on the schedule, I was like, no way. There's no way we're already a quarter of the way through. And also, yeah, I have no outlet. I've had no outlet for like my just day-to-day complaints of just like things that just don't make sense or are annoying in society. So it's turned into our company group chat that just has to bear it and just listen to me just whine about random shit. It was the enjoy your flight thing for a while, and then yeah, a couple other things that have come through. So yeah, I guess I'll just subject our poor audience to that too, and they can get my complaints as well. But no, I'm actually floored that we're a quarter of the way through the season. Almost makes me sad, but also like excited at the same time because then you get the trade machine start to get fired up in about a month or so here. But I don't know. I just feel like it just started. It's crazy to me how quick it goes.
It feels like it just started, but it also feels like we've been doing this for a while now. And the reason why I like the quarter of the season is now everything feels real. Like we
Yeah.
are in the baseball season. You don't get that excuse of, oh, we're only a few weeks in. We're
Yep.
a quarter of the way through, right? In the NBA season, it might be 20 games in an 82 game schedule, stuff like that. In the NFL, we're in week 5 right now. We have a good idea of where these teams will go. Of course, crazy things are going to happen. We saw last year that the Twins, for example, got off to a great start. Last 2 months completely folded. Tigers were the complete opposite, and then they ended up making the playoffs. So, of course, things can change, but we'll see from the best and the worst. We'll start to get a real idea of who these teams are, and that's why I'm so excited. But we have best hitter, best fielder, best pitcher, best bullpen, best rotation, all the worst of all of those. We have so many different things that we're going to go over. And what I ask from you is, what other takeaways do you have besides the best and the worst, right? Sweeping takeaways, Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball,
Yeah.
right? But we're already going to cover that. So, what are a few things that you've noticed through the first quarter of the season that haven't showed up on the best and the worst category so far?
It was funny actually. I was thinking about a Judge takeaway, but I just thought it would just be like regurgitating a lot of the same stuff. The one thing I did want to say about Judge though is like we're probably at the point now where like he has to get the Barry Bonds treatment. And we throw around like the Barry Bonds treatment, say like pitching around guys, but no one's actually gotten the Barry Bonds treatment since Barry Bonds. I do think Aaron Judge, like he's hitting 400 now too. So you probably should just walk him like half the time. So I'm very interested to see how that shifts this year, but that's not really a takeaway. I was just thinking about that and I'm like he might end up just getting pitched to as little as Barry Bonds got pitched to, which we really haven't seen.
I mean, how many stories have we heard? Bonds saw one pitch a game and hit
And
it
he hit
out.
it out.
That's
Yeah.
probably what's going to be the case with Aaron Judge moving forward. And it'll be interesting to see how Aaron Boone maneuvers through the lineup. Who's
Yep.
going to protect him? You lose Juan Soto, but at the end of the day, right now, we're going to go over best offense. Spoiler alert, it's the Yankees as well. They have plenty of options there. So it'll be interesting to see how pitchers maneuver through the Yankees lineup throughout the rest of the season.
100%. And I think he really I think shifts a lot of things and gives Boone some interesting thoughts to be able to kind of apply. And I think the fact that like a Trent Grisham, like he's doing what he's doing to tie into your point of like, okay, it's not the first 2 weeks anymore. Like Trent Grisham is probably going to be an all-star. Like that's crazy to me. So
Yeah.
that stuff is nuts now that we're getting to the quarter mark here. But one other thing that like was a big takeaway for me now at this point, and I know that their rotation was phenomenal last year, but there's something about it just happening this year. The Royals and what they're doing with Cole Reagans not really being Cole Reagans yet, and you know he's going to settle in and get those numbers back to where they've been the last couple seasons. But the fact that the Royals rotation is just again so solid, this is an elite rotation. Like, is it going to be elite next year? I don't know. Lugo is going to be 36 and Waka will be 34, almost 35. But this is another season here where like I'm looking at this rotation and the Kansas City Royals have one of the best rotations in baseball. And that might be like okay, yeah, we kind of thought that last year, or maybe you didn't. But now I'm looking at it and I don't even think you can debate it. And it's not just because of the fact that Lugo is doing Lugo again and Waka is doing Waka again, but the Chris Bubich wrinkle in this, I think is absolutely huge and just what he brings to the table. And again, I think Reagans is going to be better. He's striking out 14 and a half per nine still, which is nuts. But then it's also the depth side of it as well. Lorenzen's your 5, and all of a sudden he looks like a really solid 5. But if that doesn't sustain, you have Alec Marsh, who hopefully will be back at some point this season with the shoulder impingement. And then, again, one of my favorite, most underrated pitching prospects in baseball, Noah Cameron, who came up and was like flirting with a no-hitter in his big league debut. I think Cameron is as good as it gets as a number 5 starter as well. You look at this rotation and there's nothing that I'm not buying other than maybe Lorenzen. Like I could see Lorenzen hitting a wall, but you look at Reagans, Lugo, Waka, Bubich. They've been doing it now consistently enough that I don't think you can deny that the Royals, even though it doesn't look like it on paper, have an elite rotation. And that's a really fun, I think, wrinkle all of a sudden because we haven't talked about the Royals like that. I know last year it started to be the conversation, but I think some people might have thought it would regress. And if anything, it's gotten better.
Couldn't agree with you more, and I love this takeaway because the Royals can give you an ace 3 out of 5 games. What I mean by that is Cole Reagans, when he's on, is as good as any left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball, right? He can go toe-to-toe with anybody. Lugo finished second in American League Cy Young voting last year. And it's just continued to be really solid this year. And we know any given day, right, Seth Lugo can be an ace.
He can go complete game. He just eats innings.
And Chris Bubich has legitimately been one of the best overall pitchers in Major League Baseball. And I don't include Waka in that because I haven't seen ace level stuff from Michael Waka. But Michael Waka at the same time, you blink and you're in the 6th inning and he's allowed one run.
If that's your 4,
that's your 4. Right? A proven starter like that. And Lorenzen, to your point, might hit a wall, might not.
That's what
3.57 ERA. He's a 5 starter, and he's been arguably the best 5 starter in baseball. So they haven't quite been the best rotation in baseball from an ERA standpoint, which I'm so glad that you included them because they deserve so much love here.
And to take it a step further, I think the staff is you could just say looking at the bullpen too. Carlos Estevez looks awesome. Lucas Erceg has a 0.52 ERA in 17 and a third innings. Daniel Lynch and John Schreiber are both sub 1.6. Lynch is a sub 1. That part of it is pretty fascinating as well. So it's just been fun to see. And it just, I think this pitching staff, the bullpen was a little bit of a question. Seeing that side of things be really solid as well. And again, like I don't think I need to sell you on Estevez. I don't think I even need to sell anybody on Erceg, who was their guy last year after they acquired him. And then just seeing what a Schreiber and a Lynch are doing now, like all of a sudden this Royals staff is not only their strength, it's carrying them. And it's actually their offense that is the liability here, where Maikel Garcia is your second best hitter, as we all expected, though.
Yes,
but
correct.
That's the craziest part. So I think you welcome this because the price to acquire pitching is always so much harder. And now this Royals team at the deadline, you imagine they're just going to be focused on adding bats. That's a lot easier.
So I kind of want to continue the podcast and get to your next takeaway, but I also am down to do an hour 20 on Michael Garcia. Should we? Should we?
He's here. He's
He's
arrived.
here. Finally. We got him. We got him, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about being early. Or I'm not wrong. I'm just early.
Yeah.
Remember, I think our Twitter accidentally posted. What did they post?
I think it was we're not late, just early, or we're not. I don't even know what it was, but I was like, we'll just run with that.
We'll just run with it.
That works for us. But the other takeaway was, I think I've seen enough this year, and also in person. I know I've talked about this a little bit on the pod in the past. Geraldo Perdomo, like the breakout is real, and I actually think he's one of the more underrated players in baseball at this point because he's a bigger dude than you expect. He's like 6'2", 205 now. He put on strength before this year. Then the Diamondbacks were encouraged enough with what they had seen from him, I think physically, and also just some of the things that he was showing in the early going into the year to give him that extension, which I think is going to look like a really, really favorable extension. They bought out 3 years of free agency there at I think around 12, $13 million a year. But the swing decisions, the bat to ball, the defensive ability are all elite. And now he's added a little bit of impact now. I think this guy, and reminder, by the way, he's 25. I didn't love him as a prospect, I'll be honest. I just kind of wondered if there was enough there tools wise. He has maximized every aspect of his game. And to have the swing decisions as elite as they are, and the bat to ball as elite as it is, with the glove as elite as it is, as a switch hitter, this guy's going to be a really, really good shortstop for a really, really long time, and he's going to accumulate WAR. I'm 100% bought in on what he's doing here. And I mean, we were always talking about Jordan Lawler, like get Perdomo out of there for Lawler. Now it's where do we find playing time for Lawler, who just got caught up, by the way, and I think he's going to kind of move around the infield, get three or 4 days a week of playing time. But you're not sitting Perdomo a day for Jordan Lawler, and that's a crazy shift in the conversation since what we were maybe talking about even a year ago.
I have a question follow up to that. You made a really interesting point when you were scouting him and as a prospect and watching his development. Which of those tools that you say he's getting the most out of are you the most surprised by as an evaluator? Right? I assume it's not the field tool. I
No,
assume it's not the arm tool. But are you surprised that he's good this bat to ball wise, right? He's putting up a decently high average, he's making consistent contact. Or are you more surprised by the 5 home runs, the ability to slug 456? Like, what part of his game are you most surprised about?
I'd say the added impact for sure. The exit velocities were like bottom of the barrel. I mean, in 2021 and 2022, I think his hard hit rate was like barely 20%. And, I knew the bat to ball would always be good, but I didn't think it would be like elite enough to pair with swing decisions that would be elite enough to offset maybe the lack of slug. But then you pair in the uptick in slug. I think that's probably the biggest part because I never really imagined even there'd be enough, maybe even gap to gap power there. Because again, we're talking about he had a 90th percentile exit velocity, I think, through seasons in the minor leagues of like 98 miles per hour, which would have been, I think, the lowest in among qualified hitters in Major League Baseball. So it was really just that like wet noodle bat at that point, and the production was never really there, even in some hitter friendly environments. I just thought, man, this is a utility infielder. He's gonna put bat on ball enough and play good defense that you can justify the roster spot. But even as recently as 2023, dude, like he had a 19% hard hit rate. So the thing that just floors me the most is that he's actually hitting the ball significantly harder this year. And it hasn't come at the expense of his bat to ball. If anything, the bat to ball is as good as ever. So it's just the fact that he's been able to level up the bat to ball from above average to plus plus. Wow, tapping into more impact than ever before. I didn't see those two things working together like that.
One of the league leaders in F4 because he is one of the best defenders in the game. He's got plenty of speed. And then when he's got an 8, what is his OPS right now? 850 with
850.
5 home runs, 9 steals, almost hitting 300. And another reminder, he's 25 years old. He's
That's the crazy part.
25 years old. This isn't a late bloomer where it's like, oh, he's 28 right now. No, this could just be Geraldo Perdomo, the 780 to 810 OPS guy with 15 homers and 25 steals while playing elite defense, shortstop, that we should just expect moving forward, which elevates him into some of the best shortstops in baseball. It's
Yep.
incredible how he's matured as a player.
And if he's that contract's a heist, an absolute
Heist.
heist. And I mean, like 2021, just the last thing I'll mention on him, he had an 82 WRC plus in Double A. He was 21, like of course he was young there, but he had an 82 WRC plus. Like, at that point, I'm like, okay, he's gonna spray the ball around, walk, and defend enough to be a utility piece. Now we're looking at a guy that already has eclipsed his career high in F4 in 42 games, and I think is going to be that shortstop for them for the foreseeable future.
Another takeaway that I'm really excited to discuss, because he is not featured on our best pitcher of the quarter season so far, is Hunter Brown. Now, he does lead in F WAR at 2.1 among all starting pitchers, but what Aram and I agreed to is, let's look at run prevention. Let's look at more surface level stats for this one, right? We're going to be highlighting ERA much more. We're not really looking at the underlying metrics. We want to find out who statistically, surface level, has been the best in each category. But we'd be remiss not to bring up Hunter Brown, because he's got a 1.46 ERA, and in terms of run value has the best overall pitch in baseball, his four-seam fastball. The Astros have to be pretty happy with what they have.
100%. And that's why I wanted Brown to be a takeaway as well, because you have a guy here that is your frontline number one starter, I think, for this next new looked rotation. I imagine Framber Valdez is probably going to move on after this year. They may even trade him at the deadline. And we kind of wondered, okay, when Framber's gone, who's going to be the next guy that takes the reins of that rotation and could have the upside to be their ace? And I think it's so clearly Hunter Brown at this point, and a guy that you're going to have for under control for years, 26 years old, getting better and better every time you check in. You mentioned the dominance of the fastball. Opponents have an OPS below 500 against him this year. He's keeping the ball in the yard, only allowing one home run, which is tough to do when you have those Crawford boxes at home. It's been really amazing to watch him just get better and better and better. And when a guy can dominate with two different fastballs like that as well, it just seems like the floor is so high. So
Yeah.
that's the thing that I think is going to make him consistently that solid number one for them, because even when his stuff isn't 1,000% on, he's going to be able to just get guys out and turn in starts. Like he was off against the White Sox. It was 6 innings, a 3-run ball with 9 Ks. Like, I think those are the things that he's able to do. And that's what a frontline kind of arm does for you. Hunter Brown is comfortably that next ace of their rotation, frontline guy for them, as they move on from Framber Valdez, presumably after this year. And by the way, as we're recording this, 4 straight starts with 9 Ks for Hunter Brown.
Damn, he's been good. What
Yeah.
other takeaways do you have? I know you wanted to dip into the minor leagues a little
Yeah.
bit too.
Yeah. The last one is that the Mets pitching factory, because we're going to talk about best, just pitching staff, rotation, stuff like that. And I know the Mets will be the conversation there. But the Mets pitching factory is trickling all the way down to the minor leagues. And you're seeing it with their pitching prospects, who I've been as impressive as really any in minor league baseball this year. Jonah Tong, who is in Double A for them, he was 1 out away from a 7-inning perfect game because it was a doubleheader, and they didn't let him finish it. It was through 6 2/3. But Tong has been outrageous. He went 6 2/3 perfect, 13 strikeouts. But just seeing his development has been fascinating as well. Just pounding the zone with a 70 grade fastball that gets elite ride. And then the changeup off of that has just gotten better and better and better. So he looks like one of the most dominant pitchers in the minor leagues. By the way, 45% strikeout rate. If he can just fill up the zone a little bit more, I think he's going to be, on a quick path to helping the big league club. And then a guy that already is on a quick path to helping the big league club, Nolan McLean, he has now started to blossom into one of the better pitching prospects in baseball as well. He'll definitely be on our top 100 update. And McLean's a guy that is throwing curveballs that are getting 3,200 RPM. He's made some adjustments to his arsenal. So now he's got this sweeper. He's got a cutter at like 89 to 91. Then he's got this 2-point curveball at 3,200 RPM. And then he's got this sinker and 4-seamer. And it's like they put him in the pitch lab and said, you can spin the ball as well as anybody. Let's see how we can just like tweak and optimize his arsenal. And it's optimized. And in his first AAA start, he went 7 shutty, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Reminder, this was a guy that was a two-way player at Oklahoma State, had his first full season of pitching last year, and was still two-way early in the year. Once he got to double A and saw double A arms, he's like, whoa, 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 I don't need to hit anymore. And this was his first offseason just pitching. So seeing him blossom from there, he has just looked like a dominant arm. And he combines ground balls with strikeouts, 56% ground ball rate, 28% strikeout rate. Brendan Sproat settling in as well at AAA all of a sudden. He's a top 100 prospect for us. You're seeing the pitching, and there's other names I'm not even going to get to here. I think of Jack Wenninger, who's been disgusting for them out of nowhere. Like their pitching lab and their pitching development is going from the big leagues all the way down to the lower levels of the minor leagues, and the Mets are going to have good arms coming up for a long time.
Man, if I was a Mets fan, I would be just smiling ear to ear hearing that because they already know they got Stevie Cohen with his huge wallet willing to spend $765 million on a Juan Soto, but you also have one of the best general managers in the sport
Yep.
who is optimizing your minor leagues. So they are going to have plenty of trade pieces to go get who they want. And if it's not a trade they're looking for, it could be in the offseason when they're spending more money than any team. The Mets are truly building one of the best organizations to rival the Dodgers.
Yep.
And they will be in the hunt as one of the best teams in baseball for a long time.
Yep.
I mean, as long as Dave Stearns is still kicking and as long
Yep.
as Steve Cohen is interested in baseball.
Yeah.
This is going to be the golden age of Mets baseball if they play their cards right.
Yep. And I think you put yourself in position to play your cards right when you are developing your own talent, which the Mets weren't doing much in the past. And now you look at it and they're definitely doing that now. And they've got bats breaking out too that I could talk about all day too. So it's been really cool to see. And I do think they're going to have that infrastructure that is going to start to rival some of the best teams in baseball.
So before we get to the best and the worst, I want to put you on the spot real quick. Who has been your favorite prospect to watch? Not necessarily the best, but you're watching more minor league baseball than I think anybody on the planet. Who has just been your favorite? And I'm going to leave that open-ended. You answer it the way that you want to.
The favorite. There's been a lot of guys this year that I just have been a joy to watch, especially some of these young players that are just making these huge leaps. But I still got to go with Zaire Hope. I've just, it's just stupid, man. Like, he's the only guy that has a home run off of Gage Jump, which left on left. Like I was so excited to watch Gage Jump, who's been, I think, the breakout arm in the A's organization, who's just been outrageously good. We mentioned him actually on the JB show a couple episodes ago. Only guy to hit a homer off of him. I think he's one of like two guys to hit a homer off of Chase Burns. The bat speed is already elite for the big league level. And then just seeing the way he's going about his business. But I actually want it to be a two-pronged thing because it's not just Zaire. It's because when I'm watching Zaire, I also get to watch Josue DePaula. And Josue DePaula has been as good as anybody. It's his teammate with Great Lakes. He hit 2 homers the other day as well. Those two back-to-back in the lineup have been the most enjoyable tandem for me to watch. DePaula is a little bit more of a pure hitter who's starting to tap into the power. And then Hope is this ridiculous bat speed, big power guy who's starting to get a little bit better bat to ball wise. And you pair those two guys together, I think it's as fun of a watch that you got in minor league baseball right now. And then on the pitching front, there's a bunch of different guys that I had a great time just kind of tuning into and seeing what they do. But another A's arm, Luis Morales, he's the top 100 guy for us. I don't know if he's on any other top 100 list. I absolutely love watching this guy throw. When he's around the zone, it is electric to watch. I mean, the fastball has crazy ride at 96 to 98. His slider is a plus pitch. He's got a curveball that's a banger and a changeup that's disgusting. It's all about command for him. So there's some days where I'm like, oh, he doesn't have it today. Not having as much fun watching. But when he has it, it's as fun of a watch as you're going to have in the minor leagues.
I'm just thinking about how I said it's the golden age for the Mets rivaling the Dodgers. And then the next point you made is how you're watching two of your favorite minor leaguers back to back in the Dodgers organization with Zaire Hope and Josue DePaula. And also, A's fans have to be incredibly excited. They're seeing their youth movement, and you just mentioned Gage Jump as a guy who you're keying in on every start, and he's not even your favorite pitcher.
No,
It's
and
a different guy
he
on
might
the
be right
A's.
there too. Gage Jump is a sick watch. It's like crazy ride on the fastball, pair of disgusting breaking balls. Jump is a wild watch just because of how funky the stuff is. And then I'd say Jonah Tong is there too, just because like he throws a little bit like Tim Lincecum, and that's like fun to see. And just seeing the fastball dominance there is a really just intriguing watch from when you can see just the stuff. And the last three starts, last name I'll mention is Jacob Mizrowski's throwing strikes now. And like
Yeah.
if it lasts, like last start from Jacob Mizrowski in AAA, 6 2/3, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 11 Ks. When Mizrowski's throwing strikes, there may not be a better watch in minor league baseball. And he's been throwing strikes the last few starts. The Brewers could use him too.
Incredible. So those were Aram's takeaways from the first quarter of the MLB season. We're about to get into our best and worst, and you have to stay tuned for Aram's last word. But before that, our first break. The best and worst through the first 25% of the Major League season. We're going to start at the top with the best starting pitcher. And because we are looking more at ERA over anything, not F WAR, underlying metrics like FIP, Sierra, expected ERA, XFIP, all of these ERA predictors, strikeout minus walk rate, all of it. We're not projecting long term. We're looking at the best through the first quarter. And I think that's why ERA, WRC plus, these stats give us those answers. So for a pitcher, going with New York Yankees left-handed pitcher and new addition, Max Fried. 6-0, 1.05 ERA through 51 and two-thirds innings, has made 8 starts, and the Yankees are 8-0 in his starts. I've talked about this before, so I'm going to keep it kind of brief, but as a Yankee fan, you sign a big free agent and you have all of these expectations. But I don't know how many Yankee fans were consistently watching Braves baseball. I was, and I knew Max Fried was excellent. I wanted Max Fried so badly. He was my number one starter. I wanted Blake Snell as well, but I was floored when we got Max Fried. I was so excited. And he's been better than I could have even imagined. He is a wizard up there, just working with so many different pitches, throwing them wherever he wants. He is a joy. Like when I asked you who's your favorite to watch, Aaron Judge is unbelievable. He's clearly my favorite to watch. But I haven't watched a Yankees starter like Max Fried in I don't know how long. Just his
They're
ability to
usually
mow
volatile.
yeah, there's some volatility there. Cole, it's just incredible stuff at his peak. And Fried doesn't have 100 at the top, but he mixes speed so well. It has just been incredible to watch Max Fried go to work every fifth day. I am in love with him.
I mean, he's been huge, not only just for the team in general, but for the bullpen because as Devin Williams has struggled and kind of pushes everybody up a little bit to higher leverage. I mean, you take out the first start of the season for him, the last 7 he has gone 5 2/3, 7 innings, 6 2/3, 7 2/3, 6 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings. The amount of 7 innings outings is just ridiculous. And eliminating the first start of the season where he allowed 2 earned runs. It was 6 runs, but 2 earned. He has pitched to a 0.77 ERA, 47 innings, 29 hits, and just 4 earned runs. And it's 3 homers. So, like, those are usually solo shots where he can pitch with a little bit more aggression. If you beat him with the solo, you beat him. And that's really the only way he's been giving up runs. When it's 4 earned runs and I think 3 solo shots, that's fine. Like, you have no problem with that. It's been cool to see how he hasn't been phased by, potentially pitching in a place where, sometimes hitters may be able to sneak it out, to the short porch or things like that. But I think he's been more focused on, hey, guys can hit it deep to center field, and I got more space there too. He's not striking out the world. It doesn't really matter. He's getting a lot of weak contact, and it's been awesome. Yeah, some of the other guys may have some better underlying, but I think it's also when you just look at the numbers in terms of how many innings he's throwing, nobody else is going out and giving you 6 2/3, 7 innings the way that Fried has so far.
I agree. All right, let's move over to the best hitter. And I know I'm a Yankee fan, but I promise I'm not biased. The numbers
No.
are the numbers here, folks. The best hitter in baseball is Aaron Judge by a country mile. He's got a
Yeah.
255 WRC plus. The next best is Pete Alonso at 188. Pete Alonso is having an incredible season. Incredible. Otani is as well with the bat. There are so many great hitters in Major League Baseball, and Aaron Judge is by far the best of the bunch. Do you know over Aaron Judge's last 165 games, or excuse me, 162 games? He's hitting 371.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is an outrageous thing to think about. That a guy built on power, the guy who is chasing and beat Roger Maris, known as a home run hitter, is posting batting averages that rival Ted Williams. It's and again, we talk about too some major takeaways. We could talk about this year over year. Pitching has never been better than it is now.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Every bullpen guy throws 100 these days. And if they don't, they're incredibly funky and they got some of the weirdest stuff that you've ever seen. Every bullpen at this point has a guy throwing 100. Even during Barry Bonds' age, like 20 years ago, Eric Gagne was a god because he threw 100. Like now, I'm not saying all these relievers are as good as Eric Gagne, but what I am saying is almost every bullpen has a guy with similar stuff to Eric Gagne.
Yeah.
And then you have a starting pitcher, and then everyone is keying in on you every single AB, especially with Juan Soto going. And he's better than he's ever been. It's unbelievable. I've said so many stats, and we've talked about him so many times, I'm running out of things to say. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, talking to guys who are making the adjustment to the big league level that had just gotten up there, and outside the obvious, the biggest adjustment that I've heard just consistently is that you feel so much more pressure to have to get to the starter. And the starters are all good too, right? They're big league starters. Yep. But if you don't get to the starter, it's even harder to get hits. Whereas in the minor leagues, generally, you want to see that starter get out of there, and then it's minor league relievers. And how many Craig Yohos are there out there, right? Like in Yohos, even a guy that's still trying to find the footing at the big league level is going to get another shot. But that's the big difference, I think, is you look at these big league relievers, they're all specialized, they're all disgusting, they're all brought in usually carefully to get you out, and that side of it I think is the hardest part, where if you don't get your hits in your 2 maybe 3 at bats against a starter, you're facing a couple different demons who are just going to throw crazy shit at you. And that's the crazy part about Judge, is against relievers this year, he's slashing 421, 521, 754 with a 17% strikeout rate and 71 plate appearances. I mean,
what do you say? What do you say to that? It's
nothing.
They're video game numbers. I mean, it makes me feel like you're lying.
Yeah.
Like they're so outrageous that it's
better.
like, oh, are you just making it up?
He's getting better every single year, and he's 33. It's not like he's getting younger. Like he's 33, and he just seems to be getting better and better as he's just learning more and more about the game and his approach.
So we'll move on to the best fielder in Major League Baseball through the first quarter of the season. I went with Pete Crow Armstrong of the Chicago Cubs. Now, you could say, well, of course you did. He leads by defensive value in terms of WAR on Fangraphs. But it depends on your evaluation of catcher defense, because Patrick Bailey is right there. So is Patrick Bailey's defense for the San Francisco Giants more impactful than Pete Crow Armstrong's defense in center field? The numbers would say it's Pete Crow Armstrong. There's a part of me that says I'd actually rather have Patrick Bailey behind home plate than the elite center fielder. But then it's like,
it's less cool though.
One more thing, I watch Pete Crow Armstrong run in the outfield, and I'm like, yeah, it's you. My eyes are just, I'm like a little boy watching The Flash the first time you see that movie, right? It's incredible to watch him gallop out there. So I will give it to PCA, but I can totally hear a Patrick Bailey argument as well.
100%. That's kind of where I'm at too. It's like you could probably make the case that Patrick Bailey just stealing strikes left and right and blocking and limiting the running game the way that he does, like it's probably going to over a larger span make a little bit more of a difference. But who knows? PCA steals enough extra base hits and things like that. Like it could end up outweighing. That's like a baseball philosophical question that would be pretty hard to nail down. But in terms of just what has just looked the most impressive, PCA is going to, at some point, I think, force these models to recalibrate, because he's gotten damn close to making a couple catches on balls with a 0% catch probability. What happens when he does? Then it's wrong. So That's where I'm like, he was 1 foot away from making a catch that had a 0% probability. And it's because his jumps are so good and then he's so fast. He's almost anticipating before a guy even makes contact. He's like seeing swing planes and going. It's crazy. So I don't know if we've seen anybody get a jump the way that he does. And so from that perspective, like if you're adjusting potentially, he's going to make that 0% catch probability grab. Mark my words. And when he does that, I don't even know. I'm not smart enough to maybe there's a margin for error. I don't know. But if you're making models have to potentially shift, yeah, you're going to get best defender from me. And I think he's damn close to doing it.
And one thing that I actually got on him for last season that I've seen
Just being a
him
maniac.
is being a maniac. There were so many times where, you could see the potential on defense and he would make these plays where you're thinking to yourself, I mean, I can think of only a handful of baseball players I've ever seen in my life who can make that. I'm not saying only a handful in current Major League Baseball. I'm thinking Kevin Kiermaier, and I'm thinking Jackie Bradley Jr., and I'm thinking Andrew Jones. People have other names that come to their head. Those are the first three names that come to mind, right? In
Yeah.
terms of guys who could just go get it. And then there will be times where he just sails a ball straight past the catcher, past the cutoff man. You're like, what are you doing? There was
Yeah.
just, he would make dumb plays. He's basically wiped all of those out,
Yeah.
which is so good to see because it's like, why would you do that at all, right? That feels like a mental
He thinks
lapse.
he can get to everything and he thinks he
I
can
know.
make every play, which he almost can. So it's
Yes.
like it's hard when you have that one gear. And he's already made 5 catches with a catch probability less than 30% this year. And it's like, so when you feel like you can just get to everything, it's like, okay, that's great, but you also got to try to like pick your
Hold the
spots
line.
and tone it down. And it seems like, to your point, he's found that.
Absolutely. Let's go over to best reliever in Major League Baseball. And for me, this one was easy, especially after Robert Suarez did have a blow up against the Angels. What a sentence, right? Think about that for a second. Robert Suarez was the best reliever in baseball by FWAR, and
Until
he
the
gave up
Angels.
5 earned. He couldn't find the strike zone, was walking everybody, and the Angels came back and won. Shout out the Angels. And unfortunately, it's not Robert Suarez's award anymore. But even if Suarez got through that inning unscathed, I think I still would have given it to Andres Munoz of the Seattle Mariners. Only Munoz and Danny Collum of the Twins haven't allowed a run yet, but Munoz has 2 more innings and is second in saves with 13. With Munoz over the years, and I think I had a hesitancy to rank him among the elite of the elite. Always ranked him, near the top 10, back end of the top 10. Always thought he was one of the best. But I did feel some anxiety watching Andres Munoz starts. The walks would get away from him. Sometimes that fastball would look a little bit hittable. And it wasn't rare, but it did seem more often than not he's not getting a 1, 2, 3 ninth. Like
Yeah.
when Munoz comes in, the inning's going to take a little bit longer. Normally does the job. But this season, he's been close to flawless.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, you still have a couple of those innings where he's walking a couple of guys, right? Can't be perfect. But that's why I say close to flawless. I think he's just been phenomenal for a Mariners team. And when you look at the Mariners, it's so funny. Their starting rotation hasn't been that good this year. It's all offense, right? It's
Yeah.
just hitting and then having Munoz. And of course, Brash is now back and plenty of other relievers like Gabe Spire. They've been great too. But Munoz, once you get into the ninth these days against Seattle and you're losing, the game is over.
I mean, that slider is as good as any in baseball. And I mean, only thing I have to add on Munoz is we talk about combining ground balls and whiff. 74% ground ball rate this year, and then like 37% strikeout rate. Like,
You're just
good
nuts.
luck.
Yeah.
He hasn't allowed an extra base hit yet.
Yeah.
He's allowed 7 hits. They're all singles. That's a great way to avoid blowing saves. Is when nobody can really hit the ball hard against you or really get it in the air at all. And when they do, it's not going to go very far. I think there's only been one batted ball. There's only been one batted ball north of 305 feet in the air against him this year. They've all been routine flyouts except for one, which is crazy. It was Wilyer Abreu, who's been incredible this year. He flew out 384 feet. Take your consolation prize
That's a decent prize. Like that should be on the
on a slider.
best flyout of the year.
Yeah, I think that might be the best flyout of the
I
year.
don't know. Ben Verlander has posted a couple of Shohei Ohtani flyouts that are
Yeah,
really
those were
awesome.
sick.
Yeah, those were sick. Shout out Ben Verlander. All right, let's go to best bullpen in Major League Baseball. San Francisco Giants. It's got a 2.48 ERA. It's better than second place 2.72 Detroit Tigers. I also want to shout out the Phillies bullpen. They actually lead in F4, but again, I don't really care about F4. Who is preventing the most runs through the first quarter of the season? And that has been the San Francisco Giants. And you'd think when you hear that sentence, that means their closer, Ryan Walker, is one of the best in the league. Absolutely not. He has been one of the worst closers in baseball, rocking a 6.43 ERA. It's been everybody else.
Yep.
Outside of Ryan Walker, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys with an ERA below 2.05, and Spencer Bivens, who's more of a, he might go a 1 inning spurt or maybe a couple of innings. He's got a 3.12. Camilo Doval has bounced back and has been incredible. Tyler Rogers, Eric Miller, Randy Rodriguez. I mean, you could keep going down. The only thing that you could say is that the ninth is a toss-up right now, but we expect Ryan Walker to get back to doing what he normally does. But the good thing is for the Giants is they have 4 or 5 guys who could be a closer if they need it.
Yeah. And Duvall looking like Duvall again to a degree. I know the strikeouts haven't totally been there, but he's been really good. But yeah, when you have a 2.50 bullpen ERA and your most consistent reliever has been your worst, I think you got to feel pretty good about where you're at. I agree. Like Walker's, he's going to be fine. He's gonna get it going. So I think without a doubt, this is the best bullpen so far. Even though there are again some better underlying. Sometimes you don't even have enough of a sample size with bullpens for that to normalize anyway. So straight up run prevention ends up being as important, I think, for the bullpens as really any that we're going to talk about here. But yeah, I mean, this is a phenomenal pen. And also because of, I think you got to give a big credit to Patrick Bailey in this as well.
Definitely.
But a big issue with relievers is they obviously they get stolen on a lot. And for the most part, they've done a pretty good job of keeping runners, in the same spot, which again, I think is largely Pat Bailey, but that helps a lot as well.
100%. Let's move over to the best starting rotation in baseball through the first quarter of the season. The New York Mets. 2.68 staff ERA from the starting rotation, 0.3 runs better than second place Kansas City. I came into the season, Aram, and I said, I am taking the Mets under 92.5 wins. You know why? Griffin Canning can't be that good. Tyler McGill, no way. Clay Holmes, he might be okay, but how is he going to adjust, Aram? Kodai Senga, he hasn't proven he can stay healthy. I am taking the under on the Mets because of the starting rotation, and I look like a complete and utter moron. They're the best unit in baseball, arguably.
They're disgusting. Respect Griffin Canning.
Respect him.
It's wild.
It's wild.
McGill is I think you got to buy every bit of that. Clay Holmes, we knew Clay Holmes could be good. We talked a lot about that, but it's been everything that you could have hoped for, I think, after like a shaky first start or two. And then it's all about health with Sanga, but I don't think anybody's doubting the ability, and he's been phenomenal. I don't think they're going to slow down. And David Peterson, man, like he is good. He looked disgusting when we saw him in spring training, and he has been quite solid for them so far this season. I don't think they're going to slow down either. I think this is just a good rotation.
And let's say an arm or two goes down. Let's say one of them does hit a wall. You just spoke about how many arms that they have in the minor leagues.
2 in AAA.
And if they don't feel that those guys are ready to impact a big league ball club, they can go trade them for an elite starter.
Yeah.
So they can do whatever they want. If they feel these guys are ready, bring them up. If they don't, trade them. You can do whatever you want. You can trade them for hitters. Maybe these guys don't hit a wall. They can do anything they want, Aram.
Yep. And that's also the crazy part. And I think McLean is a few solid starts away at AAA from kind of leapfrogging Sproat in the pecking order, and that could be a guy that you end up bringing up and can help you soon.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the best offense in Major League Baseball. Even as a Yankee fan, I was surprised to see the gap in WRC plus. The New York Yankees have had the best offense in baseball with a 137 WRC plus. And remember, I am using that metric, not OPS, because it is park adjusted for all the haters that are going to point towards the short porch. The short porch is not the reason that the Yankees have been one of the best offenses in baseball. But what's been the most impressive part to me is how good they have been against right-handed pitching. how consistent they have been against the arm handedness, the handedness of the arm. You know what I'm saying? What am I trying to say
Yes.
here?
Righties.
Righties, correct. How good they have been against that side of the arm. I still don't even know what I'm saying
Against
right now.
that handedness.
Against that handedness. Thank you. I'm a ball knower, not a wordsmith. And in large part because, first of all, Paul Goldschmidt is second in batting average in baseball. He has been awesome, but he's one of those right-handed bats that's been hitting everybody. But you already mentioned Trent Grisham, who, I mean, I can't believe it.
It's got
I
to be
can't.
the number one surprise this year, right?
He's got 12 home runs. He's got an OPS over 1,000. He's got a 189 WRC plus. He's absurd. Aaron Judge is the best hitter ever. Ben Rice has been a monster. Of course, we're talking about Paul Goldschmidt. Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe have both been solid. Also, shout out the haters. Anthony Volpe right now, remember he's 24 years old. He's got a 121 WRC plus, 777 OPS while playing good defense. Suck at haters.
Yeah.
And those are all the
Yankees
guys.
fans are some of those haters, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them are, and they're ridiculous because we have to wait and see with Anthony Volpe, and clearly he's been great. It's been unbelievable every single day. I mean, they're putting up 8 runs against the Mariners. I mean, they just hit everybody at all times, all the time.
I don't know what Grisham found out or figured out or whatever the hell this is, but it is crazy, 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 crazy. He has never hit more than 17 home runs in a season. He hit 17 in 152 games in 2022. He's 12 in 34 games. It's just stupid. And beyond that, you have the emergence of Ben Rice, Austin Wells just really settling in. Like this is you imagine. I don't even like rub it in because like clearly it's been good, but like imagine if Juan Soto was still in this lineup. Yeah, of course, then they don't go and maybe get a Goldschmidt or make some of the other moves that they made. But that's the craziest part. Like we're talking about a team that is first in batting average, first in OBP, and first in slugging that lost a guy that's on pace to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. Like that's the part that I think blows my mind the most. So we talked about it, like, is there enough protection for Judge or whatever it may be? Yeah, and it's not by one individual; it's by
All of them.
four that
Yeah.
give Judge that protection. That's the craziest part to me. And Jazz Chisholm when he comes back is going to be better than he's been. So yeah, you can say, oh well, they're going to regress. Some of these guys are going to regress. Dominguez is starting to heat up. He had the 3-homer day the other day. Like there's a lot to also offset, I think, some of the normalization for maybe some other guys.
Can I ask you a favor?
Yes.
Your swing breakdowns are phenomenal, and I can't do them justice. I even tried, and I was like, I'll just ask Aram. Can you look at the swing changes that Trent Grisham has made?
I was thinking about
Clearly
that on the
made swing
flight today.
changes. You can see the difference in his swing. And instead of me breaking it down, again, I'm a ball knower, not a wordsmith. I'd prefer you did it. So
Ooh.
would you be able to, next time you have a little bit of downtime, just go into the data, go into the video, and look at the difference because he looks like a different hitter up there.
Oh, he's a different human being.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll get in the lab. I can do
perfect.
that. That'll be a fun one. Him and Jorge Polanco are the two I want to do it for because
Yeah.
those are the two guys. I mean, it's just crazy.
Can I move up Trent Grisham on your docket? Just
Yes, yes,
push him up.
that's
Thank
okay.
you. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Best defense in Major League Baseball by far. And I know you wanted to make this one of your takeaways, and I was like, we'll discuss it in the best and worst. Best defense, Cardinals
Mm-hmm.
by a country mile. Break it down for us because I knew you obviously wanted this to be one of your takeaways.
Yeah, just the outs above average side of things is where they're, I mean, by a country mile, just the best defensive team. Nolan Arenado's back to being a lead at third, and
Yeah.
that helps. The range combination on the left side of Nolan Arenado and then also Mason Wynn,
Yeah.
who in from an outs above average perspective grades out phenomenally because of his arm and his quickness, that's already elite. They already have 24 outs above average and 25 defensive runs saved. They're on pace to potentially be the best defensive team since the 2021 Cardinals, who had 51 outs above average and 81 defensive runs saved. Victor Scott has just turned into a monster out there, and he's always been phenomenal defensively. I think if you go back and look at our scouting report on him, I think I had a 70 on the glove in center field, but he has 5 outs above average already. Then, like, I know he hasn't hit, and I really hope he does, but like Jordan Walker has actually settled in and become a decent defender in the outfield, which I think has helped them because he was someone that was maybe taking that away. Brendan Donovan is going to be a good defender wherever you put him. And then they've been getting decent defense from their young catchers as well. Lars Nootbaar is always going to give you above average defense. They really have nobody that's going to be a negative for you. Now that
Yeah.
Jordan Walker is playing his position pretty well. And that's the part where it's like, okay, you have a few elite defenders, and then nobody is really subtracting from the DRS or outs above average. I think they're going to be the best defensive team in baseball all year long.
Wow. All right. Before we get to the worst, and then, of course, Arm's last word, our last break. We saved the negative for last, but we do have to go over the worst of the first quarter of the MLB season. And we're going to start with the worst starting pitcher. Now, you can go one of two ways when you queue it up on Fangraphs. You can go, who's been the worst qualified pitcher? That would be Tanner Houck, right? Especially after his last start where he got crushed again by the Detroit Tigers. Peyton, shout out at Big League Analysis, both on TikTok and on Instagram, edits this show and also makes incredible content over there. Make sure you go check him out. Highlighted that this is the first time a pitcher has had a game score under zero at -8 twice in this short of a span. I think in MLB history. Fact check me on that one, folks. Peyton will probably fact check me on screen
Yeah. Yeah.
if that stat is wrong. But make
We
sure
should
to go
start doing.
check
We should
out
have Peyton start doing that, where it's just like wrong, just like a big bullet.
like in political debates, those fact checkers
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there at the bottom. Yeah, we need something like that where it's like Peter's just talking out of his
yeah.
ass. He just doesn't. He's just wrong. Yeah, make sure that'd be a good one. Just a red fact check right in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah. So make sure to check out that stat. But the main point of that is he's still in the rotation, and there has been guys who have been worse in fewer innings, way worse. And so the worst starting pitcher of the first quarter of the season has to be Charlie Morton of the Baltimore Orioles. Charlie Morton, 24 innings as a starter, 10.22 ERA. Paid
Yeah.
13 million for that.
Yeah.
Now he's been in the bullpen and he has not been any better. I just think, unfortunately, and this is really no shade on Charlie Morton. He's 42.
Phenomenal career.
Phenomenal career. He's been awesome in the back half of his career, especially like took him a while to get going, and then really just has been a great pitcher up until now. And that's
Yep.
okay because he's
41.
42. Nobody expected him to be good except Mike Elias.
Yeah, I'm glad he got one last bag there. Like Michael Elias was willing to give it out. That's the crazy part too. They paid him a good amount of money, but yeah, I mean opponents are slashing 317, 407, 547 against him. That's good for a 954 WRC plus, 13% walk rate, 18% K rate. Like that's a really good hitter. Um, yeah, I'm looking at this like as if it was a hitter. 8 homers, 6 doubles, a triple. Like that's really, really good numbers for a hitter. Um, that's it's just tough. It's tough. The curveball, he's throwing it all the time as he was last year, and opponents are hitting 333, 396, 622 against his curveball, and that was like that's his pitch.
Yeah.
Like that's his pitch. So if that pitch isn't working, like it's gonna be hard. And unfortunately, it's been difficult. I hope something clicks. He did go 2 scoreless in relief the other day, so maybe he can just be that bulk man. And like I don't want to see him just get kicked to the curb and like I mean they're paying him too much probably to kick him to the curb, but I hope he can at least fill a role in like mop up duty and just go out like at least providing some sort of value. But I think the uglier it gets for the Orioles, the more they might just be like, all right, whatever, man. Like,
Yeah.
go ahead. You might as well just throw and go out on top. But the velo has been creeping back up a little bit, so maybe hitting the shorter spurts, he can pitch to a 4 or 5 ERA and mop up duty.
That's you trying to be as nice as humanly possible. You can tell. Let's move over to the worst hitter in Major League Baseball. Now, there's a reason that Jack Caglione is taking more time in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that the Royals are not among the best teams in baseball, and it's due to their offense. And the big hole is in right field. Hunter Renfroe has been the worst hitter in Major League Baseball up to this point.
Yep.
Now, you could say Heimer Candelario, who has a 10 WRC plus, which is technically a little bit worse, but he's also been hurt. He's only played 20 games. So I wanted to find a hitter who has been pretty much there for most of the time. Hunter Renfroe has a -1.1 F4 with a 19 WRC plus. Hunter Renfroe is slashing 167, 228, 202. You pay him to slug.
No,
You got a
I
202
pay him
slug.
to throw as hard as he can from the outfield.
It's true. I pay him to go foul pole to foul pole
Just
when the
janitor
fans are
throws.
watching. Just throw a
Yep.
long toss like you've never seen before.
That's what you got him there for. Against righties, 148, 188, 197, the elusive 111 slash line.
Not ideal.
Another guy got his bag, so
Got his
I'm
bag.
happy he got his bag. But he's 33. It's not like he's 38. It's kind of surprising to see him just fall off a cliff like this. But you're 100% right. That I don't want to put all of that on him. You can put it on several other guys like MJ Melendez and some others that have not held up their end of the bargain in the corner outfield. But big reason why Cags has been mixed in now to right field kind of every third or fourth day. And I'm glad. And he actually hasn't looked terrible out there. And also to circle back on the other conversation in terms of favorite hitters to watch, there may not be a more fun hitter to watch right now than Jack Caglione because you have a chance of him hitting a ball as far as anybody you've ever seen it hit. But then his fooled like ass out C swing is like still 108 the other way. So she's like that wrinkle is really fun. But yeah, I think we're gonna keep seeing Cags get those reps in right field. And dude, I don't care if he sucks out there because you bring up Cags, he's not gonna give you a 111 slash line.
You hope not.
No, that's my hot take of the day. Make that a quote card.
You know when you said shout out Hunter Renfro though, he got the bag. All I can think about when I hear that, and I totally agree with you, right? Because at the end of the day, we're just guys talking on a podcast about baseball. Like these guys are millionaires, they're
Yeah.
set up, and everything is going great for them. Maybe not on the field, but that's for us to discuss. And all I think about is when the Pardon My Take guys interviewed Blake Bortles, and they asked, "Do you know how much money you've made in the NFL?" And he goes, "No, I'm not really sure." They say like 65 million or something. And he just goes, "Suck it, nerds."
Yeah.
He's like looking and like pointing at people like us. So yes,
Yeah.
Hunter
Yeah.
Renfro, you've been the worst hitter through the quarter season. And he's like, "Damn, I'm gonna go drive off in my Lambo or something like
Yeah,
that." Like
yeah.
it's like,
I'm actually curious how much is Hunter Renfro? Yeah, that's one of my favorite clips. Just
yeah,
suck it, nerds.
suck it, nerds.
Uh, he has I don't know what the career earnings $42 million. We can suck it.
Yeah, we can suck it. We all
Yeah,
can suck it. Hunter Renfro has made 42 million. Everybody else suck it. All right. Worst fielder. This is also, there's a lot of different choices that are all very close to each other. So I went with my eyes. Luis Arias has been the worst defender in baseball because I have seen multiple balls go through his legs at first base. I mean, that can't
through
happen.
the wickets is tough.
That can't happen. So I think right now, based on how I queued it up, I think he has a negative 5.4 defensive value. Check my work there on Fangraphs. There were so many guys who were clumped right in the middle. I was like, I'm going with the guy who I've seen who I think is the worst, and I think it's Luis Arias.
That's fair. That's fair. I was looking at some others of note that have just been like quite bad. Honestly, Xavier Edwards might deserve a shout, and I love
Yeah.
X. Like he's the man. I put him in second. It's great. Otto Lopez is hurt. I've never seen a situation that makes less sense where the guy who should be playing shortstop is playing second, and the guy that should be playing second is playing shortstop, and like I don't know why. But that's for another time. Arias is negative 5 outs above average and negative 3 defensive runs saved. But if you there's no advanced number for through the wickets, but that's a tough look for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I could get behind him being the worst. Gio Urshela has been horrible.
What?
Negative 7 defensive run
It's
saved.
like why he's here.
Uh, Luis Garcia,
Terrible.
negative 8. How are you like you're playing second base, dude?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what's also weird? Now that I'm looking at this, why does Francisco Lindor have negative 5 defensive runs saved? You'd think that would just like they would just even if that was happening, that Fangraphs would like fix it and like say that's not allowed.
And I think even like Phillies and Braves fans would be like, yeah, you can do that. Like we don't care. We
Yeah.
all know he's good. Like we don't you don't need to show us that he's negative. We know he's good.
But I can go with Arias. Like at the end of the day, he's consistently down there. I think that's a fair shout. JJ Bleday, sneaky brutal in center field this year too. -6 defensive run save, -5 outs above average.
Actually, the more I think about it, Braves and Phillies fans, you got some ammo. And jump on this quick narratives on Twitter. Start posting shit because that -5 defensive run save for Lindor is going to
You
last
may
about
never have
20.
this.
He's going to last about 20 more minutes. So get your tweets out
Yeah.
now. Start
Yeah.
start crushing them on social media for fun.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
you may not have an opportunity like this again.
yeah, you won't. Like
Yeah.
not may, you won't. All right, let's get to worst reliever. Now this is a tough one because this guy's not on a team anymore because he has been this bad. Lucas Sims. He allowed 19 earned runs and 12 and a third for the Washington Nationals and then got DFA'd. He's currently a free agent, which was crazy because Lucas Sims was like not a bad reliever for a long time.
Yep.
Not at all. But he just
Yeah.
ran into a brick shithouse and just got
Yeah.
absolutely destroyed. He's got a 13.86 ERA in 12 innings. So it's not, oh, he had 4 bad innings and I'm just picking on a guy. No, he had 12 innings. He's qualified at least 10 innings so far this season, and he was just not good. That's all I
Yep.
got for you.
Hey, you made $3 million this year. Suck it.
Suck it, nerds.
Yeah, 11.3 in career earnings. So shout out Lucas Sims. Invest it well. Generational wealth sitting there.
He made
I'm
250K an inning
yeah, yeah.
to get crushed.
That's crazy. He didn't even look that bad in spring training when I saw him. Like I don't know what happened, but he walked 4 the last time out, and they said let's put this thing on ice. But I'm sure he'll get another crack. You know, relievers have like 9 lives, and hopefully he can stick somewhere else. But he's definitely been, I think. I mean, he's walked 14, struck out 13. Uh, that's going to be tough to succeed that way.
The worst bullpen in baseball is the team that he was on, the Washington Nationals. Now, you might say, well, did Lucas Sims juice those numbers? We still are technically only a quarter through the season, so some numbers are going to be a little bit wonky. I mean, he definitely didn't help, but not really. I mean, Jorge Lopez has got a 7.27 ERA. Jose Ferrer has got a 7.40 ERA. Now, they did bring in Andrew Chafin, and they have a couple of other arms who are pretty good, right? Jackson Rutledge has been a nice piece for them.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Finnegan is still a very solid closer. And they have a couple other arms who are not too bad, but when your eighth and seventh inning guys have a mid 7, and you already DFA'd a guy who gave you a 13.86, you're
Who led
going
them
to
in
have
appearance? He was number 2 in appearances, by the way.
who? Lucas Sims?
Lucas Sims was second
Yeah,
in appearances.
it's not going to help. So, and I've always said this too. We've been talking a lot in our Discord. Shout out to the Discord. Hopefully, you guys will join. That the Nationals would be a pretty decent ball club if they didn't have the worst bullpen
Yeah,
you've ever seen.
yeah, it is true. I mean, the rotation, even just being 24th in ERA, has been enough. I think for them, it's an improvement enough to like where that offense, which is gives flashes of being solid. Like, yeah, they could be hovering around 500, but the bullpen ERA is so brutal
Yeah.
that I mean they just don't really have a shot to hold on to leads here. Yeah, I mean Eduardo Salazar has 17 appearances at a 9.77. Jose Ferrer was like pretty decent at points last year. I thought actually looked pretty good, and he's been brutal with the 7.4. I mean, when you have what is it 4 different relievers with a 7 or higher ERA, yeah, you're probably going to be the worst in baseball.
And worst rotation in baseball is the Colorado Rockies by a lot. Because if I look at their rotation right now, just on Fangraphs, right, which doesn't include Ryan Feltner, who currently is dealing with some back
That's not
spasms.
fair.
I mean, we can talk. No, Ryan Feltner's numbers are still included in this. They're still included in the starting ERA
No,
over
I'm saying
6.
you got to give them a chance to put it together.
It's
No
true.
Bud Black.
Yeah, maybe they
The
start to click.
team's going to get better now.
So that's why, again, this is just the quarter awards, not looking at underlying metrics, which are pointing the Rockies into much more continued success.
Yeah,
They're going to
I'm
lower that ERA
curious.
to 5.5.
I think the underlying metrics actually support the Rockies here. Let me see. I think the Marlins might be the worst rotation in baseball. Let's see team stats, but I mean it is the Rockies. Realistically, they're just atrocious and in every single way. But But if you go by starting pitcher underlying metrics, which we weren't going to do, I
Mm.
understand. But if you go by FIP, Baltimore's in last. then then the Marlins, then Colorado. But yeah, a 6.96 ERA. Like I understand that they're pitching at cores, but yeah, that's going to be the worst. I will say, the Marlins, they have a case.
Yeah,
Like
they do.
you could, and I know they're going to get Weathers back, and he already looked amazing in his last rehab start. Like they're going to be better. So like, but to this point, you could make a Marlins case there because like it's been ugly.
Can the Marlins make this case where Kyle Freeland has a 6.41 ERA, Antonio Sensatella has a 5.77, Herman Marquez has an 8.27, and Chase Dollander, after a near no hitter, lowered his ERA to 6.88?
It's
Do the
so
Marlins have a
brutal.
case there?
Uh, give Kyle a few more starts, man. No,
Hey,
yeah, oh, no, it's too far. He was
hey.
actually good. You look good. Look good at Wrigley until the fifth, but um, no, yeah, I don't think the Marlins have a case there. I don't think so.
Worst offense. Shocker. Colorado Rockies. That's why you're 7-34. But, and this is coming out, of course, on Wednesday morning. My dumbass did take Rockies money line today over the Texas
Crazy.
Rangers.
You're nuts.
So hopefully they're 8-34 by the time you're listening to this, but more likely than not, they're going to be 7-35. The Colorado Rockies as a team, remember, half their games are at Coors Field, slashing 218, 285, 357. And I wanted to go with the regular numbers first. That's their slash line, even though they play half their games on the moon. But when you look at a park adjusted stat like WRC Plus, they are at 66, well below league average, and of course, well below second to last, with a 642 OPS. Without Tovar in the lineup, and Brenton Doyle isn't hitting really well. He's hitting fine, but he's not, taking the world by storm or anything. Outside of a few Jordan Beck home runs, there's nothing to watch here.
You don't like Nick Martini?
He did have the lone RBI against the Rangers that game in their first game of the series, I think. I was watching that game. I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. They did score one run there.
Alan Trejo has a 4 WRC plus.
Better than three.
Yeah, that is better than 3. Amador, my guy had Amador as a 34. I mean, yeah, there's not much going offensively here. Jacob Stallings 28 WRC plus. Um, yeah, it's a tough watch right now for sure. Of course, Tovar being out is a big blow. I do think Tyro Estrada is just going to be like a breath of fresh air of just being average. But yeah, it's brutal.
The worst defense in the league this season, the No City Designation Athletics. I think when they're trying to fit all of their great hitters
Yeah,
in,
they
they
just
were
rake.
like,
They don't give a shit.
we're going to not be able to really catch the ball, right? You already mentioned Gio Urshela has been bad. You already mentioned JJ Bleday has been bad. I don't think Tyler Soderstrom is having a ton of fun playing a lot of left field now that Nick Kurtz is up. And I think Jacob Wilson, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
He's
I just
he's
have the
he's fine.
totality. It looks like Jacob Wilson is their best defender. And like he's a average to slightly above average defender. Like no, but Lachey Langeliers is not a good defensive catcher. He's not a bad defensive catcher. He's not good. Like there's no real good defenders on this team at all, actually.
Yeah, that is actually an interesting conversation I never really thought of. Like, who are the best
Like is
defenders?
Lawrence Butler?
Not really.
Yeah, no.
He's fine. He's not bad. But yeah, there's no one that's really good defensively. They have, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, like Lawrence Butler is in the
They-
25th percentile of outs above average. He's like not, he's bad.
if you guess who leads the Athletics in defensive runs saved, I, I'll give you whatever you want on the planet.
You can't be cashing bets like that. Get the Cal Quantrill tattoo if I get this right.
Okay.
Um, who leads them in defensive runs saved?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know what? I'm gonna guess the answer that I most medium expect. You know those types of movies?
Yes.
You know, like what the most medium. I mediumly expect it to be Seth Brown.
Not a bad guess. He's at 0, which would put him, I think like just behind a couple guys.
That's why I brought him up because I was like, he hasn't played that much. I don't think his
He
metrics
can't be
like
tanked.
yeah, can't be tanked.
Luis Severino.
Oh my
That's why I said there's just no shot. 2 defensive run save for Luis Severino.
So there you go. Those are the best and the worst through the quarter mark of the MLB season, as well as Aram's takeaway. Aram, throwing it over to you for your last word. But before you give us your last word, another reminder, the best way to support the Just Baseball show, rate, review, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a written review if you would be so kind. Make sure to go check out our merch store, get your Just Baseball merch. And of course, if you want to join the best baseball group chat in the world, join our Discord through the link in the episode description. Your last word, Arm.
So, I don't want to I don't want to offend anybody. If we have listeners that are bathroom attendants, like, then I'm sorry. And by attendance, I mean, like, I think it's more of like a nightclub thing, some places, whatever. I was at a restaurant the other day and like, I thought these were maybe gone, where you have a gentleman who just sits right by the sink with like all the mints and the gum. And like, it looks like he just like robbed a gas station. And I want to go just wash my hands and I could just go grab the paper towel myself. But he hands me the paper towel and then kind of like looks at the $2 or $3 or whatever, however much cash that he has there, saying like, you gonna give me some? No one carries cash anymore. I don't carry cash. I would happily give him $1 or $2 if I had it. I don't have it, and then it creates this awkward social situation for me. I do the sorry man, like I don't have anything, and I leave, go back to eat, and had a drink, and I'm like, I gotta pee again, and I had to decide, like, do I want to hold it or do I go in there? So I had to devise this like game plan because like, of course I already ate, which is a good part, but I need to wash my hands like after going to the bathroom. So I'm like, could I pee without touching anything? And so that's basically what I had to do there. So I run back in, do the business, not touch anything, and then bolt out. And I'm like, this is a situation that you create by having a bathroom attendant. I'm less sanitary. I am anxious and I'm miserable because you make your restaurant nicer by having somebody just hand me a paper towel. And I don't feel like anybody wants that. And then also if I do have the cash, then I hand him like $2-3. Then I feel like I have to get my money's worth. So then I grab pieces of gum and mints I don't even want. And then he looks at me like, you grab too much.
Gonna pay more.
Pack of gum's like $2, dude. I grabbed 3 pieces. So like, what's the proper amount to grab? Like that part I don't know. Like they created a situation where like I had to basically like I did elbows everything, ran out, and I still felt like gross because I'm like I should have washed my hands, but I couldn't look him in the eyes and say again, thanks for the paper towel again. I still have no cash, and I don't know. I think we got to retire the bathroom attendants. Like, and I don't want to take away from jobs. I want more jobs, but this might be the exception. I think we can maybe put those jobs somewhere else.
So this is definitely not your first time with a bathroom attendant.
No.
Have you ever had?
Dude, I walked in there and I was like, oh, like it's the worst.
Have you ever had any real negative experiences? Like, has there been one that's stuck in your mind more so than others?
One guy gave it to me one time, which is like,
Really?
oh, you're just not going to give me anything, and that's where I think I've just been scarred. And maybe some of these guys don't care. Maybe they don't, but I feel like there's this expectation, and I don't know what they're getting paid. I want to help out if I can. I don't carry cash, and then I just get so anxious about it, and who needs that? That's the thing. Again, I'm not. I don't want to be harsh, but like, who needs the bathroom attendant to give you a paper towel? I can grab it myself. I almost would rather somebody else touch the paper towel that I'm now drying my hands with.
Yeah.
How is that better?
And
And then
then
like I don't really want like mints on in the bathroom.
you're about to go
Okay.
eat dinner still. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe an after dinner mint when you're walking out of the restaurant when it's in that little bowl as you're exiting out the door, you throw in a little mint. But like you're taking a mid dinner piss. You're not trying to get a mint in your mouth before you then go back and eat the rest of your meal.
it's an unfortunate reality of the situation that they created. And I had
Have
to
you
just
taken
storm
advantage
right out. I had to just bolt the second time. Like,
have you taken advantage of any of the clones?
hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no, dude. I don't even know what you think like how much do I have to pay to like be able to try them all? Like, oh, can I smell that one? Can I smell that one? But he can't miss somebody else. There's people behind me. He's got more paper towels to hand out. So like how much of his time can I take smelling colognes?
I,
It's I think we got to retire him. It's just not I think necessary in today's world anymore.
I never thought I'd say this, but I really want to be in the bathroom at the same time as you when we got a bathroom attendant. I never thought I'd say that, but I
Yo,
want to see someone call you out and you don't have cash, and then I yell from like behind you, Aram, you have Venmo.
oh, oh yeah,
You
yeah.
could just
That's the
cash
thing.
app them.
They're gonna have the fucking QR code there,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Then you
gotta
get
pull out my
scanned.
phone.
Yeah.
The service probably doesn't work. I gotta wait. I gotta send it over. That's why literally I went zipper up, zipper down, didn't touch anything, went hands free, flush with the elbow, and then bolted out the door. I hit it like a linebacker, and I was out of there. And I mean, that's protocol. Honestly, I can teach a course on it if needed.
Do you think that bathroom attendant is like kind of hyped up a little bit? He's like, I got in that guy's head so easily. I was just
Uh,
trolling him.
Most likely,
He's
yeah, he
watching.
changed my life. To
He's
be
watching you
honest,
run out of the bathroom.
yeah, it'll never go away from me now. Like I'm always gonna be afraid that it happens again.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed the last word from Aram. He has tons of these that he'll drop,
I know.
whether it be planes, whether it be food. He's got so many more. So what I'm asking from you, Aram, get these loaded and cook it because they're so good. They're so
All right.
funny and they're so weird and they're so.
The thing is, it's like I never really thought of it that way. I literally was just venting. So I
Yeah,
will throw these in the notes
yeah.
and
Throw them
people
in the
can just
notes
get used to how miserable my brain is.
because you have one once a week and we need these on
Yeah,
the.
yeah, it's about, and those are just the ones that I send out. I gotta probably find it. Jack also on the call up today too was saying like, yeah, you know, Arm's usually miserable. It was nice to see him smile when he saw me in the Wrigley press box or in the Wrigley broadcast booth. I'm like, geez, am I that terrible?
No, you
But
remind me of Steve Carell's character in The Big Short. I'm happy when I'm unhappy. You live off that shit. It makes you happy to vent about this. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I feel better now.
Hopefully, everybody enjoyed this episode of the Just Baseball Show. For Arm Layton, I am Peter Apple. We will see you tomorrow. With that, thank you, everybody.